First off, as we have seen time and again in this series, Emily Dickinson's opening lines, opening statements, opening couplets even are undefeated. The soul has bandaged moments. Where would you think in all of the English language to get to that statement? Generative AI, will have no case on Emily Dickinson once these large language models are played out. And basically, what they do is sort of guess what the next word will be in a statement. I don't think they'll ever write an Emily Dickinson type poem. But that said, today's poem, The Soul Has Bandaged Moments, is a poem of extreme highs and extreme lows. Speaking of generative AI, the generative AI, so every one of these videos ends with a reading of the poem overlaid by images created by DALL-E inspired by the poem. I feed the poem into DALL-E, the image creator. DALL-E spits out a couple pictures at a time. The pictures for this one are absolutely wild. But here's the thing. There are a couple examples from that show you a high as well as a low. But just like this poem insinuates, the lows are very, very low. The lows in this poem are so extreme, are so low, are so weird and creepy and odd and scary. And I'm sure you've got some other words to put in there as well, but are so extreme that they make the highs seem forgettable. We start this poem with the phrase, the soul has bandaged moments, which seems maybe foreboding, but certainly neutral and fair enough, right? The soul has bandaged moments, but the places we go from there nearly immediately drop off so precipitously as to make the following highs seem non existent. This video is part of 3 separate playlists here on the channel. Number 1 being obviously the Echoes of Emily playlist, but number 2 being a playlist of Emily Dickinson poetry discussions, and third, the general playlist for poetry discussions. If you like or appreciate the work that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing that I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. So consider hitting the subscribe button to stick around for more literature in the future. The soul has bandaged moments. When too appalled to stir, she feels some ghastly fright come up and stop to look at her. Salute her with long fingers, caress her freezing hair. Sip, goblin, from the very lips the lover hovered over. Unworthy that a thought so mean accost a theme so fair. The soul has moments of escape, when bursting all the doors she dances like a bomb abroad and swings upon the hours. As do the bee, delirious born, long dungeoned from the rose, touch liberty, then know no more, but noon and paradise. The soul's retaken moments, when, felon led along, with shackles on plumed feet and staples in the song, the horror welcomes her again. These are not braid of tongue. So when we read this poem, there's something interesting going on. The soul has bandaged moments when, too appalled to stir, she feels some ghastly fright come up and stop to look at her. Salute her with long fingers, caress her freezing hair. Sip goblin from the very lips the lover hovered over. Unworthy that a thought so mean accost a theme so fair. This is all very negative stuff. This is stuff. So, kind of what this says to me, what this communicates, is paralysis by analysis, right? The soul has bandaged moments. This is a moment of vulnerability. This is a moment possibly of self doubt. This is a moment where the individual is not all that the individual could be. The individual is weak. The soul has moments of escape when bursting all the doors. She dances like a bomb abroad and swings upon the hours, as do the bee, delirious born, long dungeoned from his rose, touch liberty, then know no more but noon and paradise. The soul's retaken moments when felon led along with shackles on plumed feet and staples in the song. The horror welcomes her again, these are not braid of tongue. So we go from this negative to this high around these two stanzas here. And then something that is leading back to the negative, and the horror is waiting for our speaker. So, the interesting thing here, when we start to talk about the human experience, it is interesting to note that, look, this poem oscillates between vulnerability and exuberance. We all have the same equipment, the same hardware and software. They vary very little. Um, but those small variances can add up to very large things. Emily Dickinson, I'm willing to admit, very much more intelligent than myself, very much more creative than myself, very much um, more interesting than myself, but we have the same hardware, a brain and body. We have the same software, consciousness, and some level of intelligence. But when you start to play with those dials just a little bit, wild things come out. However, the human experience is still the same. Emily Dickinson, extremely intelligent, very creative, has the same self doubts as you or I, has the same weaknesses as you or I, has the same strengths, has the same types of things going on in her day to day life that you and I have. And not just that you and I have, but that you and I have hundreds of years away from where it was that Emily Dickinson had lived in the 1800s. Many of these poems written in the 1860s. The differences, however, that are on the edges, those differences in intelligence, differences in creativity, differences in skills of observation, they add up very quick. And someone like Emily Dickinson can pen a poem like this about moments of self-doubt and moments of vulnerability. And I get angry and start drinking beer, right? So the differences do add up, but that's the miraculous thing about something like poetry. These same feelings, these same externals being filtered through the same internals, the same hardware, the same software, can vary so differently, you know? And the wild thing about this poem is that those oscillations are so variant. We have the soul has bandaged moments, and all of the things that comes with being vulnerable there, including some ghastly fright with long fingers to caress the freezing hair. The soul has moments of escape when bursting all the doors. She dances like a bomb abroad and swings upon the hours. This is an individual who is, you would like, I'm not putting analysis out there, I'm not putting diagnosis out there, but and I know that this is a sort of a phrase that is past its usefulness, but manic depressive poem, right? The one very low part, the one very high part. And then at the end there, we even have the transition back in to the very low part. Um, a poem that is operating in this way is operating in this way because the speaker has been in these places and is willing to take us along on her journey through those places to show us that we all have those places. Nihilism, bandaged moments, the soul has bandaged moments. These are moments of weakness. Now, our speaker here, so yesterday's poem, I Took My Power in My Hand, was a poem which was a testament to the will to power. Today's poem is a little bit less than that, but still, we have the very bad, but our speaker reclaims the self. We have to imagine that our speaker enjoys these moments of escape. We have to imagine that our speaker puts emphasis on bursting all the doors and dancing like a bomb. These are the values of our speaker. So going through those lows that we all go through, deciding to have the highs that she wants, right? So that is what it means. Part of what it means to be a nihilist is to create the morals, values, and beliefs that one wants for themselves. And our speaker here is doing just that, even if she is perhaps led back to some of the darkness later. Now, hauntology, ghastly fright come up, lover hovered over. We have that area of this poem. When too appalled to stir, she feels some ghastly fright come up and stop to look at her. This is the past. This is a ghost of the past. This is the badness from the past. This ghastly fright come up is what this first half of the poem is. This is the darkness that overtakes our speaker from time to time. This, the lover hovered over, is a ghost from the past too, but it seems to be the ghost from the past that inspires these types of escape, these types of outbursts. This is a very good example, this poem, of what hauntology talks about when hauntology is saying that the present never exists free from the past. Neither does the present exist free from the future. So, our speaker here is talking about two ghosts of the past that are affecting potential presence, right? Potential now. The two potential nows are the darkness of the soul having a bandaged moment, as well as the exuberance of dancing like a bomb and swinging upon the hours. Those seem to be the two present tenses that our speaker oscillates between. They are diagnosed by ghosts of the past. Memories of that lover could be those which inspire the delirium born, whereas that ghastly fright could be inspiring the bandaged moments, meaning that the past is dictating the present, and obviously the present is what makes the future. So those ghosts of the past are influencing our speaker's very future. The soul has bandaged moments. When too appalled to stir, she feels some ghastly fright come up and stop to look at her. Salute her with long fingers, caress her freezing hair. Sip, goblin, from the very lips the lover hovered over, unworthy that a thought so mean accost a theme so fair. The soul has moments of escape, when bursting all the doors she dances like a bomb abroad and swings upon the hours. As do the bee, delirious born, long dungeoned from the rose, touch liberty, then know no more but noon and paradise. The soul's retaken moments, when, felon led along, with shackles on plumed feet and staples in the song, the horror welcomes her again. These are not braid of tongue.